Hello everyone. Today me and my friends gonna talk about one of the lectures we've seen in class, which is the American Civil War. So before we start, let's begin with an introduction. The American Civil War started in April 1861 to May 1865, also known by other names, was a civil war in the United States between the Union, states that remained loyal to the Federal Union, or the North, and the Confederacy, states that voted to secede, or the South. The central cause of the war was the status of slavery, especially the expansion of slavery into territories acquired as a result of Louisiana Purchase and the Mexican-American War. On the eve of the Civil War in 1860, 4 million of the 32 million Americans were enslaved, black people also almost all in the South. There were several main causes for the start of the Civil War. Among them, there were long-term causes and also immediate causes. So let's start by the long-term causes. First, the expansion of slavery. After the Declaration of Independence in 1776, the enslavement of people increased, notably playing a significant role in the economic and the cultural lives of people. Hence, the belief of the westward expansion and the idea of the manifest destiny, 1840-1850, also helped in favoring the need of slaves to join more lands and discoveries across the U.S. However, a growing movement to abolish slavery had led many northern states to abandon enslavement. The northern economy was based on industry, then agricultural, whereby the need of slaves was very limited. The North also enjoyed a steady flow of immigrants from Europe, reducing the need for slaves. In the southern states, the economy was based on agricultural, fueled by planting cotton, tobacco, and fully dependent on the numerous duties performed by slaves. This economic difference between the two regions led to irreconcilable changes in social and political views. Secondly, states' rights vs. the federal power. Since the American Revolution, two political mainstreams emerged when it came to the role of government. The North wanted a strong central government, while the South preferred each state to retain power. Third, pro-slavery states and free states. With the westward expansion, America started to expand and join other territories. The question arose was whether these new states would be pro-slavery states or free states. Also, one of the main long-term causes was the abolitionist movement, especially with Uncle Tom's Cabin. Increasingly, the Northern started to popularize the idea of anti-enslavement. In fact, many in the North concluded that enslavement is wrong and immoral. Abolitionists advocated for a variety of viewpoints. The views differed. Some people like Frederick Douglass wanted immediate freedom for all slaves. Other groups included Theodore Weld, one of the earliest anti-enslavement activists. His book, American Slavery as It Is, 1839, influenced many writers in his time to highlight the issue of slavery and abolishment. He, among others, advocated for emancipating enslavement slowly. Others, such as Abraham Lincoln, simply hoped to keep slavery from expanding.
2. Immediate causes. A. The election of Abraham Lincoln. Winning the election by Abraham added more reasons for the southern states to revolt. They believed that Lincoln was anti-slavery and in favor of the northern interests. He did not win a single vote from the South, but still he managed to gain the election and become President of the United States. B. Lincoln's aim was not to enter a civil war between the South and the North. He attempted to preserve the Union. C. The attack on Fort Sumter, April 12, 1861. Forces from the Confederate States attacked the United States military garrison at Fort Sumter, South Carolina. No one was killed, but the battle somehow started the Civil War. Key terms: conscription, forced enlightenment except for wealthy people; However, people rioted, such as New York City Draft Riot, 1863. Many people were killed, mostly Irish and African Americans, which gave birth to a slogan, "It was a rich man's war, but a poor man's fight." Contraband is related to escaped slaves who crossed over into the Union from the South and work at campus. They fought in the war in behalf of the Union. Copperheads are Democrats who spoke out against the war with the South. Secession is the withdrawal of 11 states from the Union. They seceded in the following order: South Carolina, Mississippi, Florida, Alabama, Georgia, Louisiana, Texas, Virginia, Arkansas, North Carolina, and finally Tennessee. The secession happened after the election of Abraham Lincoln, although he promised not to end up slavery, but at last he would fight in the future. The southern state felt threatened because their economy is fully based on agriculture, which in turn relies on the contribution of slaves.
So, in the previous sections of this video, we have seen and we have talked about how it started, the Civil War, and some brief definitions. In this section, we're going to focus more on how it ended up and the key strategies of it. So, without further ado, I'm going to list you all the key strategies with brief definition to each one of them. So, yeah, let's start. First, there are 8 strategies. We're going to list them all, and as I said, with brief definitions to each one of them. So, let's start by the first one. The first one is the Union blockade, and the Union blockade was simply a strategy to prevent the North or the South, from trading with slaves, and that was the first one. The second one was the Anaconda Plan, and simply what is the Anaconda Plan is a plan made by General Scott, Shape of Snake, and it was simply aiming to undercut the South economically. Okay, so this is the second one. The third one represents the Battle of Antietam. The North people won the battle. Not just one battle, they won the whole war over the South. And it was a very bloody day in the history of US and the United States. And it was actually a very sharp curve in events back then. It was a turning point in the history of US. The next key strategies was the border states. And what is simply the border state? Not to dig in details, it was an area between an area between the North and the South. It was called back then the border states. So the African American fought in the Civil War with white people. And I think this is very clear that it was racism everywhere. They were fighting with the white men, but the white soldier has the priority over the black soldier, from food treatment, general treatment, water. So they were mistreating them anyway. Let's also not forget the impact, the great impact that women had on the Civil War. So, for example, men were actually fighting, and women were actually given medical supplies, teaching, refusing slavery by any means. They were writing, they were actually helping the mass societies, and they also fought for their rights. As a sentence to conclude with, or as a conclusion, the Civil War ended up in 9 April around 1865, I guess, and it was one of the bloodiest civil wars. Yes, it ended up the slavery in the United States, but it left the whole Union divided. Too many cultures, too many dead, widows, orphans, too many bad stuff and diseases. Whatever actually, we have a war, we have also diseases and bad stuff. So yeah, it ended, but it was not the perfect way to end the slavery. So I hope you had fun, miss. And I hope the video is not too long. So yeah, that was it for today. I hope we can meet in another video. So thank you so much.